Yo, I hope you're cool with me just laying on the line and showing some of my blood here today. So, this is what it looked like. I was sitting in a chair in my parents' house, grown man, former six-figure earner, a dad, a leader, and I was reading everything I could get my hands on, books, podcasts, YouTube, the Bible, trying to think my way out of something I couldn't think my way out of. My mind was a tornado. I was waking up at 3 a.m. in a full panic. Fear ruled every hour of my day. I couldn't see light anywhere ahead of me. And here's the thing, I was doing all of it alone because I had admitted the one thing that would have changed everything faster than any book or podcast ever could. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I did. I looked like I was working on it, but I was lying to myself about how bad it actually was, justifying patterns. I knew, I knew these patterns were wrong, hoping time would just fix it. A magic unicorn would show up and abracadabra, it would be all better. I was refusing to fix myself, and it never does. It never just automatically fixes. And until I got honest, nothing moved. I want to name this trap that I was in, the failures that I had, and maybe that was you as well, because I hear this from divorced dads every single day, every single month. There's two types of divorced dads trying to rebuild. There's the one who knows he needs help and he goes and gets it. Then there's the one who knows he needs help and spends months looking busy instead. And the second one is far more common. And he's the most dangerous version because he looks like he's doing the work. He's reading the books, he's listening to the podcasts, he's going to the gym, but he's not being honest about what's actually happening inside. That audit of himself, those blind spots that have yet to be exposed. He's editing his problems before he shares them. And that was a huge thing that I had a problem with. I didn't want to fully share. I give you some of it, but I don't want to give you all of it because I had a fear of what other people thought of me. I had a fear of that, what would they think? Or how would that look? Or me being wrong. And I was hoping that proximity to good information will eventually fix without the vulnerability of actually being known. And the neuroscience will say it like this: psychologists call this insight without action. The brain can understand a problem intellectually while simultaneously avoiding the emotional exposure required to change it. Knowledge without honesty is just sophisticated avoidance. So you can consume your way through a rebuild and come out the other side exactly the same man. And there's plenty of dads that that are divorced and bitter and pissed and angry and sure they got through it, but they didn't really get through it because all that stuff is still weights in there that they've yet to unpack and expose. And it catches up to them. The information that I was consuming was never the problem. The honesty was, and the truth was. And I'm going to give you this navigation metaphor, this picture that was really helpful for me to understand like what was going on. Like just super simple, super easy. Like what's actually happening when you know the right thing, but you don't do it? Or what's actually happening when you're not being fully honest, fully disclosing what's going on, fully getting the stuff out of your pockets and being like, yo, this is what I'm dealing with, reality of it. So I want you to picture a man lost in the woods with a map. He has every resource he needs to find his way out, but he won't admit that he's lost. So he keeps walking confidently in the wrong direction, studying the map, reading the terrain, looking capable, but moving further from where he needs to be with every step. Because the first requirement of navigation is knowing where you actually are, not where you wish you were, not where you were 6 months ago, where you are right now, honestly, just honestly, where you're at right now. A man who won't admit he's lost, he can't be found. And a man who won't admit he doesn't know what he doesn't, what he's doing, can't be taught. Humility is not weakness. It's the GPS signal that makes the map useful. That is the picture that I want you guys to see of what is going on. And just having that understanding of, yo, like I need some help. And I'm telling you, it's really, really hard these days because nobody knows who to trust. And I get that. And I was the same because there's a lot of different stuff on. You're like, well, which one, who's right, who's wrong, whatever. Before I get into that, let me just say this. Guys, if this podcast has been helpful, if it nudges you in any way on Apple, on Spotify, drop a sub, drop a follow, leave a comment. and share it if you can, if you want. If there's something that's helpful, share it. Why? Because there are dads, and I say this every time, there's dads worse off than you. Believe it or not, they're out there, they're listening, and they need those couple of clicks. Not for me. I want to reach and transform a million dads. Your help is what allows that. The algorithm goes crazy and it sends it to dads that are on the brink of the worst times of their life. I want to thank you in advance for doing that. I want to thank you for being part of the Divorced Dads of America and helping another dad right now. Right now, click subscribe, click follow, leave a comment, leave a review. It's going to change another man's life. I want to thank you in advance for that. So we get back into this analogy of, we had this map, we have this stuff going on, but now here was my moment. I want to share with you my problem. I want to share with you my miss, my error, my pride ultimately. And it happened while I was reading. I was sitting on a chair. I had a million thoughts coming through my mind about being a failure. I opened my Bible to Proverbs and I read about wise counsel, and something just cracked open in me. Not because the verse was new. I'd read it, hundreds of times, but because for the first time, I let it apply. When you read your Bible reads back to you. And I want to encourage you guys that if you're not in the Word, one of the first things in our fast system is focus and faith. Your faith is going to be immensely needed in this time. And in Proverbs 11:14, it says, where there's no guidance, people fall. But in an abundance of counselors, there is safety. Now, most people with the counselors, they just get inundated and trying to get the perfect person. I want to encourage you to just make a step. Make a step to do something. If you're not in our school group, get in there. There's a free one. There's a paid plan. Those of you that are looking for one-on-one experience, your business owners, your high-level leaders, apply to work with me. There's that option in that plan as well. But you've got to make a move. And you've got to just say, hey, I'm in. If there's something that hits you like, hey, maybe this works, you've got to make the move. You've got to get the wise counsel. I did not do that as fast as I could have, right? I was looking for wise counsel, but I wasn't being honest enough with my problems to receive it. I was showing people the edited version of what was happening. I'd even tell people there was times when I wouldn't even write the real story in my journal because I didn't want somebody else to read it. That's how trapped I was. That's how fearful I was. I was keeping the worst parts private. I was keeping them like this fungus that was growing in the dark. And it is a fungus and it does grow in the dark and it only spreads more. I was justifying the negative patterns because naming them out loud meant I had to own them. Owning them meant I couldn't hide behind hoping time would fix it. Time doesn't fix the patterns, guys. Truth fixes it. The light that you expose on the darkness, darkness is removed. And that darkness will go. But you've got to expose it with light. The moment I stopped editing, everything accelerated. Not because I suddenly had better information, because I finally gave someone accurate GPS coordinates. It is such a relief to just be you. It is such a relief to just say, I own that. I blew it. I messed up. It is freedom. It is peace. And I'm telling you, dads, that you're on the edge, you're on the verge. Every single dad that I talk to has an issue, has some kind of addiction, has some kind of problem that they're hiding in the dark. And the moment that we can expose that, we can attack it, we can grow through it, and you will become a greater dad in every area of your life. Here's the tool that you can take on today. And if you got somewhere to write this down, write it down. Before you do anything else today, answer these 3 questions, not the edited version, the real one. I'm talking the real stuff. Here's the first one. What are you justifying right now that you know is wrong? Last night on our school group call, there was a guy that we've just been talking about some of these things. I call him Pause. His thing, Pause, is porn, alcohol, weed, and scrolling. His was alcohol. He said, oh man, I came back on the weekend and I hadn't drank all week and I drank on the weekend. I said, okay. You said that last week. Okay. I said, do you still have alcohol in the house? He said, yeah, I do. I said, well, then it's up to you. Do you want to stop this or do you want to pretend like you're going to get through it? Because you can't get into this problem with the mindset you have. You can't get out of it with the same mindset. You can't get out of it trying to solve it the same way. So what are you justifying right now that you know is wrong? Number 2, who actually knows how bad it is? Thankfully, this guy's in our school group, private community, and man, these guys share. They share it all. All those things I mentioned, they're all on the table. Porn, alcohol, weed, scrolling, all on there. Why? Because those are the heaviest things that dads are scared about to admit that they feel like a failure, that they can't control themselves. And I'm telling you, you get it down and you have to let somebody else know how bad it is. Reality, how bad it is. Like how many times a week. And when you know that, you will have freedom. If the honest answer is nobody, then that's your problem because the isolation is the problem. And a wound kept in the dark doesn't heal. It just festers. It's like that fungus. It's that virus, man. It grows. Here's the third question. What would you do differently tomorrow if you stopped pretending you had it handled? And sit with that one. What would you do differently if you stopped pretending you had it handled? Imagine the weight that comes off. Imagine the burden that's lifted. Imagine the joy and the contentment. Like, hey, get it off. And I want you to actually embody what that man feels like when you have that stuff off of you, because we know what it's like having it on. But many times we don't put ourselves into that future state, that future man, that high level man to create that agency for your life that's ultimately going to transform your life. It's going to transform your kids. And I believe that there are men attached to your story that need to hear it. They need to hear your breakthrough. They need to hear how you came out of it. They need to hear that God's goodness was on it. And there was mercy. There was forgiveness. So I want you to think about those things. And like I said, Proverbs 11:14 is this: where there's no guidance, people fall, but in an abundance of counselors, there's safety. And I used to read that as a leadership verse, something for, CEOs and high level guys. But sitting in the chair at my parents' house, I realized it was written for me. For the man who thinks he can figure it out alone, for the man who's consuming every resource available and still not getting the movement he wants, right? He won't let anyone close enough to see the real problem. The counsel was available. The safety was available. The only thing missing was me, was my honesty, was transparency, vulnerability, getting the crap out. And you know what? If you can't do it with your friends and your family, then get in our group and do it. And just start unloading those things. Hey, this is a problem for me. I want to get through this. Get accountable with it. Don't make the same mistake I did for as long as I did. And as I say frequently, drifters keep doing what they're doing and they call it resilience. They justify the pattern, they edit the truth, and they hope time does the work they won't do. But builders humble themselves. They open their hands. They say the thing they've been afraid to say out loud: I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I need help. That sentence is not defeat. That sentence is the beginning of everything. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you get honest. One of those options has been working. The other one hasn't. And you already know which one it is. So if this episode hits you, it's been helpful, share it with the dad. Follow, subscribe on Apple, on Spotify. Comment, ask a question, man. Get this thing out to more dads. Let's transform 1,000,000 dads. Let's do it with your help. Let's lead more men for themselves, for their families, and let's change these statistics for yourself and for your kids, man. I love you. I pray for you each and every day. I'll see you guys in the next one. God bless you.